Hello, everybody. My name is Trial Junkie, and I believe that the state of Indiana utilized 3 crime scene investigators in the case of State of Indiana versus Richard Allen. Each of the crime scene investigators were given separate tasks, enabling them to not know about a lot of evidence in this case. This is Duane Datzman. Currently, he is employed by the Benton County Sheriff's Department. He is a special deputy for courtroom security. He is retired from the Indiana State Police Department. He retired in 2021. He attended the police academy in 1987. His first assignment was road trooper for Lowell District. He patrolled Newton and Jasper counties. He did that for 7 years. He then put in for corporal doing desk duty, answering phones and supervising squads. He then became sergeant in the lab for the last 20 years of his career. He has 20 years as a crime scene investigator. He took a month-long program to become a crime scene investigator. He went to a couple crime scenes to see how they performed their duties. He had no record of how many crime scenes he went to, but it's in the hundreds. He doesn't know how many homicides. They are mixed in with other death investigations. WGO seemed to document and collect evidence. We follow up by doing the autopsies and collecting the evidence we collected from the scene. We take it to the lab. We package it and submit it for examination. Question: what are the duties of a crime scene investigators? Answer: we help other agencies. We go out to document the crime scene. We use photography, videography, collection of blood, and anything with evidentiary value, and submit it to the lab. On February 14, 2017, he was a crime scene investigator. He worked part of the Lowell District. He had Newton, Jasper, Pulaski, and part of Lafayette's district, Benton, Warren, Fountain, Carroll, and White counties. He doesn't remember who called him to assist in this case. He just had a notification of a homicide in Carroll County. They were requesting his assistance. He got the notice while he was at the Lafayette post. He went to the Delphi area and arrived at 1 p.m. He arrived to the scene. Question: is that the cemetery? Answer: yes. We went to the cemetery and parked our vehicles. After parking at the cemetery, they went down the trail. They told him the crime scene was closer to the creek. He could see that they put up crime scene tape. He met with Olahi and Page. After talking to them, I started off with some scene photography a little ways away from the crime scene. I was asked to go down along the creek ahead of the water rescue team to make sure they were looking for any evidence that may be along the creek bank. While doing this, I was called back to the area. They wanted aerial photographs. They wanted me to go with the helicopter pilot. I did go. I took photographs from the helicopter of various scenes around the Deer Creek area where the bodies are and the general area of the bridge. I took photos of the crime scene itself also. Question: how did you coordinate with Page and Olahi near the bodies? We started working the scene. I would help if someone made a request. He wasn't carrying a firearm. He left it in the vehicle. This was my practice. He is familiar with Ground Zero. Ground Zero was right around the area of the bodies, within several feet of the victims. He arrived to the crime scene at approximately 1:11 p.m. He departed the crime scene around 10 p.m. States Exhibit 64 through 77 are photos. These are photographs he took at the scene. The majority were taken on February 14, 2017, and 2 were taken on February 15, 2017. The aerial photographs. State Exhibit 64. This is Deer Creek looking east. There is a residence on the south side where the driveway ends. You can't see much else because of the trees. States Exhibit 65. This is over the wooded area where we have water rescue teams searching the creek. It's hard to see, but there is crime scene tape or a rope going through there. This may be the location of the victims, but he's not sure. The dive team shows the depth of the creek. Number 66. This is Deer Creek. This would be going upstream. Down, right word would be going downstream. The bodies of the victims are down here, right next to this tree. There is one here and one here. Question: which one is Libby and which one is Abby? Answer: he's not sure of the names, but we have one here and one here. One is clothed and one is unclothed. They are both laying on their backside. This is how I saw them even before the helicopter ride. It was difficult from the helicopter to see down through the trees. We had an officer using a strobe function on a light trying to get our attention. He was close to the victims. It was still difficult to see. When he arrived to the cemetery, he took a photograph from the edge of the cemetery down to the crime scene. State's Exhibit 67 is a photo view from the top. You have the upper edge of the forest. I am facing the creek, so the cemetery is behind me. You can see Deer Creek over here. This ground goes down one more level, and we have to go down another one to the very bottom, the creek bottom. State's Exhibit 68. This shows the two victims in their final resting position. There are some sticks placed on their bodies. State's Exhibit 69 is a photo from head to toes. Number 70, photo from a similar angle but closer to the scene. Question: Did you examine or observe any blood on the ground near the bodies? Answer: yes, I did. There is a blood pool right here. Question: next photograph is a closer-up view of Abby. What does it depict? This depicts the neck injury on Abby and blood staining. Not sure which way blood is flowing. I am not a blood spatter expert, but it shows the injury to her neck. Question: did you examine or observe any blood in the location on the ground near the bodies? Answer: yes, there appears to be a blood pool right here. Question: were you trying to document with photos the condition of the bodies at the scene, on the bodies, or elsewhere? Yes, that's correct. This next photo is a closer-up photo of Abby. This depicts the neck injury on Abby and blood staining. I'm not sure which way the blood is flowing. I am not an expert in blood spatter, but it shows the injury to Abby. Number 72 is this photo shows there is nothing on Abby, but on her heel you see blood. Then underneath her leg it travels up. There are some blood stains up there. This is the right leg, the right upper thigh and side of right calf. The team I was working with used an alternate light system, a blue light. I believe Sergeant Page did this. While Sergeant Page did this, he was standing close to the body. I did not have a yellow or orange shield for me to block out the blue light around the body. I observed them moving the blue light around the body. As they were moving the blue light, I kept seeing a glitter down in the leaves. The light would go by and I would see it, then it would be gone. I said, "Send that light back over here. Let me take a look again." They couldn't see it because they were wearing the orange goggles. Once I saw where it was I turned on my flashlight and fanned away the leaves. I brushed away the leaves from whatever was laying under the leaves causing the glitter. He brushed away the leaves very lightly. He did not want to disturb what was under the leaves. I moved just the leaves. We found a .40 caliber cartridge. Number 73 is a photo of the cartridge. You can see a little bit of dirt. It's in the center of that. The head stamp is what was glittering. Number 74 is a photo of the cartridge kind of stuck in the ground. You can see the base of it, the head stamp, and the lower part of the cartridge. Number 75 is a photo, the same cartridge. Closer up, same cartridge, a little bit closer up. The head stamp, the primer has not been fired, so an intact cartridge, not fired. He believes Sergeant Olahay collected the cartridge. No other cartridges were located anywhere at Ground Zero that day. No other cartridges found at the crime scene. Total ammunition collected that day was 1. Sergeant Olahe's role was the collector of evidence and documenting each item that was collected. Question. Your photographs and other photos have shown sticks on the bodies of Abby and Libby, correct? Answer. That's correct. He examined those sticks. We removed the sticks systematically, one by one, from first Libby, then Abby. The sticks were set aside at the scene. Sergeant Page set them off to the side, out of the way so nobody would step on them. On this day, we had been a crime scene investigator for 16 years. Page, Olahe, and I decided to leave the sticks at the crime scene. We flipped the sticks over and saw no blood or anything on them. They were rough and crumbly. Some had moss and lichen growing on them, which has fallen off. Between the three of us, we were talking about this thing. In all our experience, we've never gotten any DNA off a surface like this. So we decided at the time they were of no evidentiary value. If we thought they had evidentiary value, we would have collected the evidence for further examination. It's the role of the crime scene investigator working with the lab to examine for what would be reasonable to submit to the lab for testing. In my opinion, there isn't any evidentiary value to the sticks. I returned to the crime scene on March 3rd, 2017, and collected the sticks. I knew where Sergeant Page placed the sticks before I left the scene. I printed a couple photos of the sticks before I went back out so I could identify them by their shape. With this information, I went back out to collect the sticks. He believes he took them to the Lafayette Post. They were placed in an area with other oversized items where evidence is kept. It wasn't in a traditional evidence room, but in a locked facility where it would be more practical to keep them. Question. Back to February 14, 2017, you arrived at 1:11 p.m. and left at 10:30 p.m.? Answer. That's correct. The bodies of Libby and Abby were removed before our departure. He continued to assist Sergeant Page and Sergeant Olahe until the bodies were removed and did more examination of the scene. I returned on February 15, 2017. We went to Ground Zero with metal detectors. We searched a wider area looking for anything of evidentiary value. State Exhibit 76 is a photo of the Monon High Bridge on the east and looking west. We are on the opposite end of the Monon Trail. State's Exhibit 77 is a photo showing the disturbance from the old railroad bed of gravel down to the private drive. He walked outside the disturbance to see if there were any shoe impressions. They found a partial somewhere up in there. He had heard there were searchers on the 13th and 14th. He heard the searchers may have climbed through that dirt looking for the girls. He never found any shoe prints that were of evidentiary value. Shoe impressions have class characteristics. Nike shoes have the same class characteristics in all sizes. Then you have wear, nicks, and cuts. These would be individual characteristics. This would separate one shoe from another. He found no prints with individual characteristics that he could use forensically. There is a break. It is the end of the prosecution's case. Judge Gull advises the jury, you may discuss the evidence you have heard so far, but please only do that if all 16 of you are present in the jury room at the same time, and then please don't deliberate. Mr. Baldwin. Question. Do you agree a bullet found at a crime scene should be photographically documented? Answer. Yes. The bullet should be documented photographically at the crime scene. He believes it's better to package the evidence right away and photograph it in the lab. Question. We don't know what the tip of the bullet looks like when it was in the ground, correct? Answer. No. It would not be difficult to take the bullet out of the ground to photograph the tip. Question. Would this be better for the jury to see the bullet coming out of the ground? Answer. Yes. The head stamp gives the caliber and company that manufactured it. Question. Does the Law Enforcement Academy teach you to document things that are important at a crime scene? Answer. Yes. He did not document that Abby's clothes were wet. Question: is this an important piece of information? Answer: yes. He did not notice that Abby's clothes were damp. He found one partial footwear impression on the trail in the black dirt. He thought it was similar to one of the victim's shoes. Sergeant Olahay said it looked similar to one of the girl's shoe. He did not see a shoe imprint of a small adult male. Someone may have taken the depth of the creek, but not something I would have done. He doesn't know the levels of the creek. He doesn't believe the crime scene was odd. He has never been to a crime scene where sticks were arranged in a certain pattern on the bodies. Objection to the word arranged, and that is speculation. He did not collect the sticks found on the girls. He did not collect them because, in his opinion, they had no evidentiary value. I didn't collect because the surface of the sticks were crumbly. They were rough texture, nothing smooth enough to work with. It is possible, if an item is rough, epithelial cells could end up on the item. He doesn't know why he was told to go back and get the sticks. He doesn't think it was a mistake not to collect the sticks initially. He agrees someone picked up the sticks and placed them on the girls. There would be no transfer if someone was wearing gloves. He has no idea if the guy was wearing gloves. He says the sticks were collected a couple days later. He made a note of blood spatter on Libby's face. He is not a blood spatter expert. The state does employ blood spatter experts. He doesn't believe it was necessary to have a blood spatter expert at the scene. There are photographs of it. The blood was dry already. They can make a determination of blood flow from the photographs. Question: have you heard of the F tree? Answer: yes. He doesn't believe it was necessary to have a blood spatter expert to see the tree in person. The blood spatter expert used the photographs. The photographs show how thick the bark is on the tree. Question: do you believe 7 years to have a blood spatter expert look at the photos is an appropriate amount of time? Answer: I have no idea. Part of the problem with the shoe prints is there were people searching on the 13th and 14th in and around the area. It was hard to determine if the shoe prints were searchers or killers. There may have been small sticks and leaves around the area. He doesn't recall bigger sticks with blood on them. If the large sticks had evidentiary value, he could have or would have collected that. Blood on a stick does have evidentiary value. We were asked to walk the path of the suspected killer to look for evidence. We guesstimated where they might have walked and try to search that area. We looked down the hill where the slide mark is. We looked down farther looking for footprints and other things. I did not cross through the water. Across the creek from the bodies, we looked around. Question: what about north of where the bodies were found? Answer: we had been up through there several times. We didn't look for anything on 300 North. Nobody asked us to look north of the crime scene. We collected an old T-shirt on the trail back out to 300 North. He had no request made to him to search the area north of 300 North. Nobody came to me to ask me to search other areas across the road, behind the barn, or behind Hoosier Harvest Store. He would have done it if he was asked. If it had been brought to his attention that it was thought the killer went up through the cemetery, down 300 North, and behind some buildings, he would have done it. He has nothing to do with collecting evidence from Brad Weber's property. He doesn't know who Brad Weber is. He didn't see any tire marks on the gravel drive to Weber's. Question: did you see 3 sets of footprints going from the driveway all the way to the creek? Answer: no. He doesn't know the body temperatures of the girls. We did not test that. You test core temperature rectally. Due to the chance of sexual assault, you don't want to insert anything. You may lose potential evidence. He didn't put a thermometer under the girl's armpits. He is not from here. Question: Did you touch the skin of the girls to find out how cold they were or if they were even cold? Answer, I did not. He doesn't remember being taught how to calculate the rate of decline in body temperature. Exhibit 41 is a photo with sticks. These sticks are covered in blood. He doesn't know if these sticks were collected. He doesn't think the sticks covered with blood should have necessarily been collected. If they took a sample from the pool of blood and the sticks are on it, possibly got the same blood on it, we can't pick up every stick and leaf just because it has blood on it. Maybe one of the other crime scene investigators did it. We can use sunlight and other things being used to get core temperature. The air temperature is a variable. He had ambient air temperature of 41 degrees at 1 p.m. on February 14, 2017, when he pulled into the cemetery. He has no idea of when the girls got to where they ultimately were. He did not collect another bra found somewhere. He saw that a bra was collected in somebody's report. He did not collect a pink-colored sock. He had no part in collecting a shirt on the bank in the same area. He did recover a Jimmy John's cup with a straw in it. It looked like it had been used. The cup was fairly new, not weathered, crinkled, or discolored. It looked a couple days old at the most. He collected the cup because it may have DNA on it. There was an energy drink not too old. It was a can, a Camel cigarette butt. There were a couple cigarette butts on the right at the entrance to the bridge area. They looked fresh, not weathered, been run over, stepped on, or anything. We collected those. The area where the girls' bodies were found is not flat. The ground undulates down there. You have high spots and low spots, not like you would find in a field or yard. Coming down from the cemetery is a steep grade. The area is flat compared to the hill down to the crime scene. Latrell. Jimmy John's cup found at the west end of the bridge on the right side in the weeds. The public trail ends at the bridge. He collected the Jimmy John's cup and cigarette butts on the public or trail side of the bridge. Also, the energy drink. He has photographed evidence in the ground before. Juror questions. Question. Is there any reason the bullet submitted in evidence would be a different bullet? Answer. No, the bullet would be packaged and sent to the lab. Question. Is there a process to ensure the jury is seeing evidence that hasn't been tampered with? Answer. We have policies and rules and regulations that we follow for collection and submission of evidence. We have chain of custody. Question. Are items identified by a specific number? Answer. Yes, they are submitted in a sealed condition. Question. If not in a sealed condition, would the laboratory refuse to receive them? Answer. They would have the officer repackage the item if they didn't do it properly. Thank you for listening. Please pray for Kathy and Rick and their families. Pray for Abby and Libby. Thank you for watching.